If you recently broke up with your partner and are struggling to figure out what to do next, perhaps you feel like I'm about to give up. Maybe your friends are telling you you should give up, you should move on. He or she will never get back with you. Watch this video because I'm going to share with you what you should be doing, perhaps things that you haven't tried yet if you want to get back with your ex. Jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
The first thing, and I think it's the first thing people tend to forget, is to reflect on the breakup. So right after a breakup, we feel like, I feel so much in pain. I want to get back with that person as quickly as possible because as soon as we'll get back together, I won't feel the pain anymore. If you do that, you're going to fail to recognize a lot of insight, a lot of information from the breakup, from the relationship. You have to take 1 week. You don't need to do it for months. 1 week to really reflect on the reason of the breakup. Because most of the time people think like, I know it's because of that. And when I have consultations with my clients, after asking why 7 times, I get another response. So it's very important for you to try to drill down a little bit deeper than that surface level of why they left. Also, it's important when you do that work to identify patterns and behaviors or things that you've seen consistently, maybe with other relationships as well. The point is, you don't want to get back in a relationship that was dysfunctional. You don't want to, maybe you can get back with them in a week or 2, but then things will be the same. And in a few months, you'll break up again. And very often you have cases of people, they always break up. That's their way to communicate, that's a way to deal with problems. They break up every 6 months, they get back together, they break up, they get back together, etc., etc. The problem is that you haven't really solved the problem. So it's important to understand like what's the problem. And also figure out what are the things you could change. Part of it is down to your ex, part of it is down to you. And it's important to have the right balance in terms of who's responsible for the breakup. Usually, it's 50-50. Some people, after a breakup, especially when they're the dumpies, they feel it's all my fault, right? My ex is perfect, he or she's on a pedestal, it's all my fault, I'm not worthy of love, and so on and so forth. The work that you have to do is to figure out like, hold on, maybe my ex is also responsible. Maybe they need to be accountable for what they've done or what they haven't said, for example. If, for instance, you're the other extreme, like they're wrong, I don't want them in my life anymore, etc., etc., etc. Again, you're not going to learn anything from the breakup because you're going to end up in another relationship and feel, the same. Is the other the problem? So it's important to reflect, take a step back. What we do in coaching is we do bird's eye view. So, okay, how can we detach ourselves from the situation? Questions you could ask yourself. So you could do the why 7 times. So ask yourself like, why did they break up with me? Oh, because I'm too cliquey. Why? Well, because I feel that they would cheat on me. Why? Well, because when we started dating, he was actually dating someone. Okay. And you drill down and you figure out, you try to understand. The other technique is the bird's eye view. And one question you could ask yourself is, what would my best friend do or say or think at this stage? When you ask those questions, you're using someone else's belief system to interpret their situation. And if that person that you're choosing to interpret the situation instead of you is more secure, you'll get a different response. So ask yourself like, okay, I feel this way. I want to reach out. I'm crying. Okay, what would my best friend do? And why would she or he does things differently? Why? If you're wondering, okay, hold on, just give me, am I wasting my time or not? There's a quiz for you to assess if you have any chance of getting back with your ex. It's a quiz that is mandatory to all my clients because if you want me to help you getting back with your ex, I want to ensure that I can do it. So take the quiz. If you have any doubt, if you're not sure, you get an answer and you also get some tips depending on your answers, depending on where you are, etc., etc. Other elements, so you reflect on yourself, you reflect on the cause of the breakup. Now it's about working on yourself. So to me, it's very much Stoicism principle, which is, when you think about it, very much CBT as well. In the practice is, okay, what can I do? What are the things that I can control? I can't control what my ex is thinking right now. I can probably influence, but the thing is, 90% of your actions should be directed towards you. And this is why when you feel down, depressed, crying, etc., rather than thinking like, what should I do to influence my ex? Ask yourself, what should I do to feel better? And this is why it's important to engage in self-improvement activities, because they create a form of self-efficacy. When we feel stuck, when we feel in a rut, it's very important for us to create a form of progress. And it could be on anything. It could be about learning something new, could be about doing something new, starting a project, etc., etc. As long as you feel progress, you're stepping outside of that rut. That's why I mentioned new hobbies, new projects, etc., etc. Also, use this time to develop what we call emotional stability. Obviously, a breakup will affect your confidence. Rejection is the worst thing that could happen as human beings, as social animals. Use this time to reflect and actually challenge yourself, kind of gamify this breakup to figure out like, okay, hold on, I feel this way. What can I learn? How can I improve myself? Right? I've reached the bottom. How can I kick at the bottom of the pool of wherever you are? And how can I find the resources to prove myself that I can do it, to also perhaps prove your ex that you can do it? Third one, no contact, obviously. No contact is important to do at some stage, but I would say at the beginning. You've probably tried to convince your ex to get you back right after the breakup. If you're watching this video, I guess it didn't work out. It's because you have to give them that breakup. You have to give your ex some space and also some time to process. The point number one was to process. Maybe your ex made a mistake breaking up with you. He or she won't realize that mistake if you're always around, right? Because you're gonna actually make things easier for them to reject you even further, because you're gonna tell them, you're gonna send them the unconscious message of, I'm not listening to what you have to say. I'm not being mature with the decision. And I'm gonna show the worst part of myself, because if you are trying to convince them, if you are clingy, if you are needy, then they will have this image of you, right? And it's important for you to change that image. And the only way for you to change that image is to give them that space to disappear from their life for a bit. This is why it's important to avoid reaching out. And I know it's hard to stay in no contact. I know you want to contact them. You want to know what they're up to. Remember that you need for them to reflect. You need for them to think about the breakup. And to me, look at it as pressing a reset button, right? If they decide to break up with you, you're not going to change their mind just by telling them, yeah, but I'll change. Things will be different. Okay, never mind. I understand now. I'll change. You've probably said those things 20 times before, but now that you broke up with me, I'll change. That's not how it's going to work. So use this time to reset, and also use this time to focus on yourself. Part number 2, how can you use that time to learn more about yourself and develop emotional stability? Now it's about reconnection. Can you break the contact? My answer is yes. The way to do it needs to be very subtle. It needs to be gradual. It needs to be casual. Very often after a breakup, what we want to do is to either say, I've worked on myself. Here's what I've learned about myself. I went to therapy and I've learned all those things. And kind of you put yourself in the position of pitching yourself, right? An elevator speech of like you're having an interview with your ex. That's the first approach. The second approach is like trying to, okay, you broke up with me because of that. And here is my business plan. And here's the reason we should get back together, because I've addressed those things. Okay? In principle, if you think about it, we had a problem. There were things that didn't work. I fixed them. Therefore, we should get back together. Done deal. Easy, right? The problem is you can't convince your ex right away, because they're probably not in that state of mind when you reach out to them or when they reach out to you. Very often, and most of the time, they're not sure. They're level of certainty, or if we can assess their in percentage, maybe they are 20% sure of wanting to get back with you. Definitely not 50%. So they miss the relationship. They realize that being alone, or maybe they started another relationship, maybe that was not as meaningful as what you had. They start to appreciate your qualities and realize that, hold on, those qualities are not something that we can find with everyone. They also have stopped to focus on the shortcomings, on the things that didn't work in the relationship. But that's not enough. That won't be like, oh yeah, an eye-opener, I want you back. So you have to bring them step by step to a level of certainty. It's not about convincing them. It's just about showing them an alternative. And it's a bit like regaining trust. You can't regain trust with someone just by sending a text, just by having one conversation with them. It takes a bit of time. It takes consistency. And so what you have to do is, when you reach out at the beginning, is remember that it's a process and it takes a bit of time. And that also, one mistake people make usually is that they think this date, this coffee that we have, is the only chance I have to get back with him or her. Therefore, I'm going to put everything that I have. No, you will have another date. You will see them again. If they asked, if they're okay to see you, if they're okay to engage, if they're okay to have a chat with you, it's not going to be the last one. That's for sure. And so be friendly, approachable, try avoid making an enemy of them. Try avoid being too emotional, discussing difficult things right away. You will have a time at some stage to discuss those things, but at the beginning, it's really about attracting bees with honey. What you have to do is to showcase positive changes. So it could be about your personal achievement, growth, etc. So what you've worked on. Again, the point is not to showcase like, okay, I've run a marathon, get me back. Okay, that's not how it works. But it's just to show them, well, things were not great in my life. Maybe, I don't know, you felt I was lazy, complacent, and stuff like that. So after we broke up, I started to work out, to be active, to find a new job, etc., etc. It's not enough, but it shows that, okay, he took things into account, or she took things into account. The point again, they're not going to get back with you because you ran a marathon or you changed job. But it's just to show them like, hold on, things could change. Very often, what the blocker of people wanting to get back with their partner is they think like, you'll never change, right? I've told you for X number of months and you haven't done anything. Therefore, you never change. You will never change, right? Well, if you show them, I can change, and I've changed in the better, well, the question of, is it going to work out? Will I always experience the same frustration in this relationship? Well, no, because you've demonstrated, you didn't just send them a message, I will change. You've changed. And therefore, for them, that could work. Now, again, it's not about just showcasing and waiting for them to realize, and it takes a bit of time for them to process things. Because what will happen is, and if you think about it, if you put yourself in their shoes for a second, they will doubt a little bit. It's too good to be true. Maybe you're bluffing, okay? Of course, when you see your ex, you're gonna be on your A game, super well dressed, beard trimmed and new haircut, etc., looking super hot. And they'll feel like, okay, hold on. It's too good to be true. There's something. So I want to see more of that. I want to make sure that you're not bluffing me. I want to make sure that it's real. And the more sort of point of contact, dates, interactions you have with them, when they see like, hold on, this is the new baseline. This is actually you. This is you 2.0. I want this, okay? But it's gradual. It's very important to understand this. And as I said, and I will go quickly on this slide, again, creating positive interaction. The point is not to discuss difficult things right away, is to spend good quality time with them. Sometimes we also think, it's about discussing things. It's about the things that I can come across in conversation, etc. No, spending time with them. Because what you want, think of it, love, you spend time together, you want them to get back home thinking like, I had a great time. And start thinking, maybe I was wrong. So the maybe I was wrong, again, is a process. It takes a bit of time for them to process this. So what you want to do is when they get back home after they see you, they think, I had a great time. I was scared of that interaction, scared that it could go wrong, and it didn't. And this, I had a different impression when we broke up. I had a gut feeling, but I feel that was not necessarily accurate. Okay, if you have those three things, it's game on. Just have to do it for several times. Now, it's also about communication. So the communication element should be more about you being the listener than the talker. Again, what you want to, the impulse is that I want to pitch them how great I am, or show them that they are missing on something. The point is, no. Perhaps, and usually that's the case, they felt unheard throughout the relationship. They felt misunderstood. And 99% of the case, people feel like this. So it's about, okay, I'm going to allow you to be in charge of the conversation. I want you to be in control. And I want to listen to you. I want to absorb things. By doing that, you're showing them that you're a great listener, that you care. You're not trying to feed them any sort of agenda. And so they'll feel in control and they love it. And by doing that, you're creating that safe space. Most of the time, people break up not because of lack of feelings, it's because they feel that they feel a form of pressure or fear from commitment, fear of being inadequate. But it's usually fear more than feelings that break people up. And so by being a listener, by being super empathetic, you allow them to feel safe, to open up. And when someone feels safe with you, well, they want to have more interaction like that. So the open communication is, again, at the beginning, it has to be a bit superficial, and slowly you gradually peel the onion. That's what we say in coaching. You peel the onion to allow them to express how they feel. And if you manage to have conversation at that level, there's no question you're going to get back together. It's going to be just obvious for them because they'll feel like you're the only one I can connect with at that level. And I want to have this. Okay. If you want to learn more, and I know it's very high level, I put together a course called RECONNECT. It's my own method. That's the thing that I use with my clients. So we use basically different worksheets depending on where they are, etc. So I put this course available to people, non-clients. If you want, have a look in the description. There should be a link to access it. And if you have any other question on this, any comment, anything you'd like to share, feel free to comment. If you also found this video helpful, don't forget to like. It does help me a lot. And I'll see you next time. Take care.